Heads up, everyone. I just opened the doors to my brand new signature course called Humanize to Monetize. You can head to amyjomartin.com/H2M. That's H number 2M. This is my class all about personal branding, how to create connections that convert. I'm Amy Jo Martin. Welcome to the Why Not Now show. You know that thing you've been thinking about doing? Yeah, that one. Why not now? Have you ever actually taken the time to ask yourself, what's stopping me? Let's talk it through. This is your chance to give that idea the attention it deserves and take action. Each episode, I have a chat with a fascinating person, from entrepreneurs to athletes, celebrities, my parents, rocket scientists, and all walks of life. We talk through a critical time when they've asked themselves, why not now? We dissect that day or even that moment, step by step.
Just let go.
Hi, everyone. So last week, I hosted my first ever free live masterclass called The Renegade Roadmap for Humanizing and Monetizing Your Personal Brand. Now, I was overwhelmed by the positive support I received from people who attended, and I just wanted to share it here with you too. So I'm hoping that you can benefit from hearing it as well. Now, note that this is the free live masterclass, and it is an introduction into my new signature course called Humanize to Monetize. Now, that course just opened up for enrollment, and enrollment closes November 4th at midnight. So what you are about to hear is this intro masterclass, and you're going to hear everything from how to debunk common myths associated with humanizing and monetizing your social media presence, to success stories from my past students, and the 5 steps that will take you from connection to conversion. So throughout this episode, you'll hear me prompt my live audience with some questions. And obviously, you don't have a chat box to type your responses in. But if anything from this class resonates with you, or if you have any questions, just hit me up on social media. I'm at Amy Jo Martin, AMYJOMARTIN, or you can post a note in the private Facebook group for Why Not Now. So if you want to check out my comprehensive online course, head to amyjomartin.com/H2M. That's H number 2M. And I'm happy to chat. So, okay, are you ready to identify your unique value and use it to create meaningful connections that convert? Let's dive right in. How we spend our days is how we spend our lives. For me, being able to design my own day is a non-negotiable. As many of you know, I'm a bit of a time management nerd. So when I find something that allows me to be more efficient and more effective, I want to share it with everyone. So here's the scoop. I have a new tool in my productivity tool belt, and I'm a bit obsessed. It's Monday.com. My team and I have never felt more organized, and I have a new sense of perceived control. My to-do list is no longer the boss of me. I feel more in control because every project, initiative, date, and task is captured and organized in one place. And my team is in the loop and involved every step of the way. To get a free trial, head to hey.monday.com/Amy Jo Martin. That's hey.monday.com/Amy Jo Martin. With Monday.com, it's like I have a brand new operating system. There's no long list and everything has its own home, its own deadline. its own team member that's assigned and associated, and it's color coordinated. We all have multifaceted jobs and businesses. There are many components to my business, and each and every one of them has its own compartment. Each division is always one click away. For example, my team and I have a dedicated board for this very podcast. Did you know there are 28 steps involved in getting one podcast to air? It's the same exact process every time. And it's a system. We have the various key steps mapped out as micro tasks. And this allows for my team and I to stay in lockstep every step of the way. With Monday.com, I can zoom out and see the big picture, a roadmap view from 30,000 feet. And a moment later, I can zoom in and focus on a specific micro task within a project, within a division of the company. I could go on and on about the features that Monday.com offers, one of which is I've built my social media content calendar inside of Monday.com. I finally have one that I actually use, that I like, and it's embedded into my overall Google Calendar. Another feature that I love is the Google Doc integration. You know I love a good spreadsheet. I can pull them into Monday.com and edit them right there versus having 97 tabs open on my computer. If how we spend our days is how we spend our lives, then I can't think of anything more important than using the time in our days wisely. To grab your free trial, head to hey.monday.com/Amy Jo Martin. That's hey.monday.com/Amy Jo Martin. Just check it out. It's free. It's worth it. And let me know on social media if it's working out for you and how it's going. Just shoot me a DM and we can swap tips and tricks. And I did link to that free trial URL just in case you missed it. So take a look in the show notes if you want to click through directly. Welcome to the Renegade Roadmap for Humanizing and Monetizing your personal brand. You'll be on your way with these 5 stops, and let me hop back in here. We're going to go from confusion, make a powerful shift from confusion to clarity, connection, and conversion. Okay, let's hop right in here. So let's talk about conversion. You're going to hear this word a lot from me today. I'm very results driven, and I know you are too. Sometimes there's a misunderstanding on what conversion actually means and what it really looks like. So when I mention conversion today, I'm referring to when someone connects with you online and they complete a desired goal that you set for them, right? So there are many types of conversions, and conversion looks a little differently for everyone. Conversion could be email signups, online sales, securing meetings, or one meeting. Imagine securing a meeting for a big partnership or potentially for an investor. I once was able to meet an investor through a direct message. Like, that's a pretty big conversion, right? So a conversion could mean podcast downloads or getting your audience to fill out a form or a survey. A conversion path should lead to generating impact and income, right? So hopefully you're aiming to do both here. Everything I talk about today revolves around generating impact and income because the two go hand in hand. So you might be thinking, I don't even know what conversion looks like for me yet. That's okay. And you might be thinking, should I even be here? Absolutely, yes, you should be here. Because here's the thing, you may not know what conversion looks like yet, but if you follow this process that I'm about to map out, it will become more and more clear. So with action comes clarity. You will start thinking, what desired behavior can I start tracking, even if it's small? If it almost feels too simple, that's probably the perfect place to start. Okay, so not everyone has something to sell online. I get that. Totally. We're all different, but that doesn't mean you can't humanize and monetize your personal brand, whatever aspect of business you're in or you're about to be in. So I'll give you some examples on that soon. But first, let's talk about why you're here today. So I don't know exactly why you decided to attend today, but let me take a few guesses. I'm going to list 3 reasons, and I want you to jump into chat below and tell me which one applies to you. So 1, 2, or 3. Reason number 1, you're here because you want to inject your why into your presence online, to build your brand and make connections that turn into real dollars, not just followers. You want to stay in alignment and make an impact and make money. And when I say alignment, I mean being in integrity and making money doing something you believe in, something you enjoy and hopefully love. So reason number 2, drop in chat, whichever one is you. You're here because you're tired. You're tired of trading time for dollars. And maybe you're tired of taking on so many one-on-one clients, if that's your economic model right now. You might feel like you have too much to do. You're always trying to do too much, and you're ready to find a way to scale yourself while staying in alignment. Is that one you? Okay. Reason number 3, you're ready to show up, right? You've been hiding and you're ready to be seen. It's 2020. It's time. Own your voice. You're ready to finally own your voice, share your story, make that impact while making money too. There's nothing wrong with that. So maybe you have a small business. Maybe you're an entrepreneur, or you want to leapfrog some steps on that corporate ladder. Maybe you have an existing business or a side hustle that you know will thrive if you just start showing up more. You just need a plan, right? And you need to know how to get started. So let me see here. Let me see what we have. I see some 3s. Jennifer, you're a 3. I see some 1s. I see some people doing more than one number. Okay, I get you. I used to be a 4, an all of the above. I was a 1, 2, and 3. Oh yes, scale. Yes, I am ready to talk about that too. Michelle, a 1 and 3. Scale, baby. I'm with you, Stacy. All right, so clearly you're here for a reason. Now, let's talk about creating a plan, right? So whatever your reason is for being here, I'm here to help you, support you, and guide you. I'm here to help you create a plan and take your very first step. So I'm so glad you're here. Now, I want to take a quick minute to tell you a little bit about me. I'm a mom to my son, Lincoln, who was a micro preemie when he was born at 2 pounds. So Lincoln came 3 months early. I almost had him on an airplane. It was one of the most intense situations in my life, and one of the best because Lincoln is a healthy toddler right now, and he just makes my heart swoon. I could talk about him all day, but we got to stay on time here. Speaking of making my heart swoon, okay, so my super kind and talented Australian hubby, you see here, is actually, we met in Australia at a speaking engagement. And then he slid into my DMs. So I was lucky enough to have him follow me back all the way to the States, not right away. But that's a connection that turned into conversion, right? I mean, we're talking major conversion, marriage, a baby, life-changing. So conversion can look very different. I know many students who have found their mates through a direct message. So we have 2 Australian shepherds, Ruby Sue and Polly Pockets. Needless to say, we live a renegade life in many ways. Now, I'm a small town girl. I grew up in Wyoming, living in a single wide trailer. My brother and I definitely set some fashion trends around the trailer park with these fancy socks you see there. And I would have never imagined that my path and my career would lead me here today with you in this setting. So what do I do for a living? So I'm honored to guide renegades down the black diamond mountains of life and business. So I help them do difficult things. It's my life work, and it's the career love of my life. So I'll explain more about that in a minute. Now that's a little bit about me, but what matters to you are results. Let's talk about those for a second. Real quick, I've built multiple 7-figure companies off my personal brand online. I'm a New York Times bestselling author of the Renegades Write the Rules book. I've been speaking professionally for over a decade, reaching more than 250,000 people live on stage across the globe.
I've created a top-ranked podcast with downloads in the millions and guests that include some of the biggest innovators out there. I know many of you listen to the Why Not Now podcast. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am honored to be in your ears. And I've secured numerous six-figure brand partnerships with companies I adore working with. I've taught thousands of Renegade students, including enrolling sold-out classes into my premier 5-figure virtual program. And I even have some students who are literally some of the biggest renegades in the world, like 7 foot tall. I've been fortunate to guide some iconic renegades like Shaquille O'Neal and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and many others, as well as corporate brands, Hilton Worldwide, Fox Sports, Motorola, Nike, you name it. But here's the thing that's so important. Whether we're talking about everyday driven people like you and me, or we're talking about these iconic names, I apply the same strategies. So when it comes to personal branding online, I know what works. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So the biggest lessons I've learned are wrapped in here. Before we hop into that, let me answer the question of what's a renegade, right? A renegade is all about positive disruption, not destruction. So renegades get into the good kind of trouble, right? And a renegade is always asking themselves, why not now? Why not me? The fact that you're here right now makes you a renegade. The fact that you chose to be here tells me that. Now, this is a very diverse group. We have people from all walks of life. We have small business owners, we have entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, real estate agents, doctors, lawyers, financial advisors. We have artists and we have intrapreneurs. So this used to be me, entrepreneurs who work in the corporate world and they're climbing their way up that corporate ladder. I totally get you if you're in that spot. And I'm so glad you're here because this helped me really elevate my career. And you all have a few things in common. So you're driven and clearly you're ready because you're here right now. Now, you wouldn't be here if you weren't. So you have an opportunity to advance your success and your impact and your income by building your personal brand. I'll show you how. So I believe that where purpose, passion, and skill collide, bliss resides. There's a sweet spot in that intersection. And that intersection is where I live. Now, can you imagine what it would feel like for you to live in that intersection too, where your purpose, your passion, and your skills collide? So believe it or not, building my brand online, and answer that question in the chat real quick, by the way, if you can for me. Can you imagine? Give me a heck yes if you can, because it is bliss. And this is the thing. Building my personal brand online has been my ticket to figuring out what that intersection looks like and living in it, right? So you create that intersection. It's helped me do that, and I've helped a lot of other people do the same. I'd love to guide you too. So I want to see a heck yes. Oh yeah. Yep. You're on it. Yep. We are in so much alignment. I love it. There's never been a better time in history to build your personal brand, and people are done with the facades, right? It's 2020. Our worlds have been flipped upside down, and people are craving and they're demanding that we show up in a real way. So how do we get there? I'm going to share my Humanize to Monetize Renegade Roadmap, and there are 5 stops on this route. Let me be your guide, and I'll show you the way from where you are now to what conversion looks like, that pathway. That's the bank, right? That's making money, not followers, dollars. So here's a glimpse of our map, and this is where we're headed. And by the way, I see a lot of heck yeses in the chat. Let me tell you, it is good. I love it. Okay, first stop. First, we're going to expose the myths that are currently holding back and remove the obstacles that get in the way when you're building your personal brand online. So these are the taboo topics that everyone shies away from. We're going to go there. We're going to shift to the who and why from the what. So we're going to focus on how you can do that and why it's important. This is one of the most important things that you need to do in order to make that shift to convert. Next, third, I'm going to help you identify your unique value. So this is where the money is. This is the very first thing you need to do to build your personal brand. Then on the fourth stop, I'll show you how to push your audience up the loyalty ladder, known as all the way to conversion, by dating your leads. And I'll help you really understand what that could look like for you and your path to conversion. And finally, the final stop, I'll teach you how to master the mindset that builds the true connections that convert. So this is a practice I personally use daily, and you must have this in place in order to be successful with personal branding. I've seen it over and over. This is a head game. Also, I will share how you can work with me and learn more if that's something you want to do too. And at the end, we'll do a live Q&A. If you have any questions, type them in below. I will answer all of your questions live. Okay. So here we go. Stop number one. Let's expose the myths. There are countless myths out there floating around about personal branding. I'm going to address the most popular, the top ones, and we're literally going to expose them, remove them as obstacles from your path right now, once and for all. So myth number one, personal branding is when you look at someone's presence online and it all matches perfectly. It's like something out of a magazine. Everything is polished and it looks professional. No, absolutely not true. We've all seen those social media feeds where everything looks polished, right? It's high quality photography and everything lives perfectly in these little squares on Instagram. Each post is filtered with a specific filter and there's a color palette. That's not personal branding. That's aesthetics. And there's nothing wrong with that. But don't confuse it for personal branding, right? Don't confuse it with personal branding because that's more about design. And you cannot filter yourself if you want to make real connections, right? Now, here's a concept that is critical to your success. You don't brand yourself. You are yourself. That creates a brand. So I'm going to repeat that. You don't brand yourself. You are yourself, right? That is your brand. Okay. Are you relieved? Tell me in the chat box because I can tell you so many people feel like they need to create something from scratch when they're getting started. That's not the case. So let me know how you feel about this in the chat box. Personal branding is an inside out job. You're not creating anything from scratch here. You already have a brand, believe it or not. We all do. So you have to show up authentically. And sometimes that's the hardest part for us. We're going to talk about that. It sounds easy, but that's where most people get tripped up. That's why we're here together right now. So what gets confusing is that classic branding is the opposite of personal branding. So when I studied classic marketing at Arizona State University, ASU, which was the #1 party school in America at the time, from what I remember, I learned that brands are polished. They're perfect. They're contrived. Those logos have equity. They don't change. And humans are the opposite, right? We're messy. We're constantly evolving. We make mistakes. So that is why personal branding is so counterintuitive to most people. Here's the secret that most people don't realize is that you don't decide what your brand is. Everyone else does. That's why it is so important to show up because how people feel about you, that's your brand. If you play a role in showing up, you have more impact and ability on how to make an impact on how they feel about you, right? So, this isn't just for personal brands. That's for corporate brands, any type of brand. Starbucks doesn't decide what their brand is. Their customers do. The rest of the outside world does. And humans connect with humans, not logos. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say someone calls you on the phone and you see their name pop up. And then maybe you see their photo too. How you feel about them in that moment is their brand. If someone Googles your name, whatever shows up That's your brand because that's the reality that they see. Okay. So let me tell you a quick story here. When I met Shaquille O'Neal for the first time in 2008, I was working in the NBA as the director of digital media and research at the time for the Phoenix Suns. And I'm sitting at my desk and I get this call, and it's Bob from basketball operations. And he's like, Amy Jo, hey, come down to the locker room right now. Shaq wants to learn how to tweet, and you're the only one in this building that knows what that means, so get down here. Click. So I had never met a celebrity before, let alone taught them anything. And I thought, oh my goodness, I didn't just have butterflies, I had some pterodactyls, but I knew what I was talking about. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go meet Shaquille. I get down the elevator, and there he is, 7 foot tall, Shaquille O'Neal. He hands me his Shaqberry, his BlackBerry. Okay, it's 2008. And he said, well, what do I say? I said, share the Shaquille behind the Shaq. Share the person behind the personality. People can see what you're doing on television, playing the game. You play basketball, right? They want to know who you are and why you do what you do. So show them that, because you don't brand yourself. You just are yourself. And that's your brand. That's what creates connections that convert. Now, let me give you a little more relatable example than Shaquille O'Neal. This is my Renegade student, Dr. Meredith. She's a mom, a wife. She's even a patient herself sometimes. She's an athlete. And yes, she's also a doctor. She's a fertility doctor. Point is, she's human. She wears swimsuits when she swims. She has a beer on the weekend. It's not every day you see physicians humanizing themselves. Now, earlier this very year, Meredith had 0 presence on social media. So she became a Renegade student because she wanted to start sharing her voice and making an impact. And she didn't even know exactly what conversion looked like yet for herself. So she started sharing what was important to her and offered value. Fast forward, Dr. Meredith is now a minivan driving mom from Indiana who's a fertility doctor that has gone viral on TikTok now by simply showing up and sharing what's important to her. She started in February, right, of this very year. So what's the ROI to her? It's opened doors for her. Her path is becoming more clear. She's connecting with people in her field she wouldn't have otherwise. Dr. Meredith is positioning herself more as a thought leader in ways she wouldn't have been able to otherwise. And when you are unapologetically true to yourself, your tribe will find you. Now, going viral on TikTok is not the point here. Absolutely not. That's just a side effect, which leads me to my next myth. Myth number 2 is I need thousands and thousands of followers to monetize my personal brand, right? False. 100% not true. And I will prove it to you with examples from my Renegade students. So this is a biggie because it's human nature to fall into the vanity metric trap. We all do it. So what are vanity metrics? They're the numbers that distract us from our real goals. The number of followers, the number of likes, the number of comments. And you all know what I'm talking about, right? Let me give you a big tip right here. The only numbers that you should be focused on are your goals. You determine what success looks like, not a vanity metric in an app on your phone. So your revenue numbers will always be more important than a vanity metric that means possibly nothing, like the number of followers you have. And we're going to talk about this. But let what's in the bank be the judge of whether or not you're hitting your numbers goals, not your ego. So the reason this is so important, and it's a big myth, an obstacle to get around, is because our egos love vanity metrics. So we're all human, and it's human nature for us to focus on those numbers. So you hear a lot about engagement, right? What's your engagement? What's your engagement rate or your engagement percentage? So all this is ego engagement. Those numbers feed our ego, but they don't necessarily feed our bank account. Let me give you an example of why this is such an important obstacle standing between you and conversion in its final form, which is impact and income. So a humble yet healthy following will take you straight to conversion. It will convert all day, every day, eventually, if you work this system. A huge and hollow following will not, and it will drive you crazy. So let's take a look at an example. This is Renegade Reagan Walsh. Renegade Reagan Walsh helps women shift from survival mode to purpose mode. She does this through one-on-one coaching and group coaching, motivational speaking, and workshops. Now, Renegade Reagan, it's just kind of fun to say that alliteration. Reagan has a humble yet healthy following on Instagram of about 2,500 loyal followers. Now, at first, you might look at that number, and that's not huge. You might think to yourself, she's probably not able to generate a lot of revenue from that. But it's actually very substantial when you think about 2,500 people potentially converting into revenue. So she doesn't need 50,000 followers or even 10,000 followers to make serious money. She just needs the people who do follow her to be in alignment and to convert. So Reagan's number one lead generator for her business is through direct messages on LinkedIn and Instagram. She is making substantial revenue by connecting with people directly behind the scenes and building relationships that convert into coaching, group programming, speaking opportunities, paid speaking opportunities, and workshops. So these are high ticket items, and she has days where she's able to generate 5 figures in one day from direct messages. So not too shabby for 2,500 followers on Instagram, right? So keep Reagan in mind as you keep yourself in check about those vanity metrics. Let's do some quick math here, just as an example. Let's just say you're a coach of some kind, or maybe you have an online boutique, or maybe you offer an online class. And then let's say you have 1,000 followers combined on social. So this is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn combined, just as an example. You have a humble yet healthy following. Let's say then you convert 10% of those followers into clients or customers, and then they spend about $500 a year on your product or service. Now, I realize everybody's price point is different and everybody's economic model is different. So you can plug and play with these numbers here, but you're going to get my point. So then maybe, let's say you have that setup, and that's going to total $50K right there from 1,000 followers combined. Okay, then we take it to the next step, and this is where the magic clicks in. The next year, your following grows by 30% because word of mouth kicks in and you're able to increase your prices by 20%. Okay, so now you're generating $78,000. And you can see how this grows and compounds over time. And you're going to let your happy clients or customers, your stakeholders, do the work for you and spread that word of mouth. And you can see how this grows. So regardless of your situation, you can plug and play with the formula. The point is you want to build true connections, not hollow followers. Connect with the matches, not the masses. Okay, so we want to start and focus on connecting and converting with what you have right now. If you already have a base, then mine the base. These people have already raised their hands and they've invited you to build a relationship with them. Take them up on it, right? Mine that base.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. It's 2020 and there's never been a better time to own your voice, to show up and build your personal brand. People are done with the facades. They're ready for real. I'm incredibly excited to announce that enrollment is now open for my new course, Humanize to Monetize. This is a comprehensive course for building a personal brand that connects with your dream audience while converting into impact and income. I've built multiple 7-figure businesses, launched a New York Times bestselling book, and cultivated powerful brand partnerships all through my personal brand. And I'm ready to share my secrets with you on how I did just that. You'll learn the exact skills, strategies, and tools you need to build your personal brand online, how to make an impact and make money at the same time. I've never shared these proven, detailed, and actionable step-by-step methods in this capacity before. This content is 20 years in the making, and it has led my clients, my students, and myself generating millions and millions of dollars while staying in alignment and making an impact. I will personally be there along the route with you in the trenches as you take this course, and I'm excited to guide you. For more information, pricing, and to enroll, head to amyjomartin.com/H2M. That's amyjomartin.com/H2M.
On to the next myth, which is universal. It's an obstacle that everyone deals with. We want to make sure we're applying the lessons from this one too. And this is things like nobody cares that are running through your mind. This myth kind of comes out of many variations that revolve around limiting beliefs. So it might sound like this. If I show up, people might laugh at me. Or if nobody responds to what I say or post, I'll be a failure. Do you see how we're kind of getting into imposter syndrome territory here? So who am I to share my opinion? I'm not an expert. So if you have any of those thoughts, welcome to the club. We all do. I have worked with some of the biggest names out there up close and personal. And let me tell you, imposter syndrome does not discriminate, right? I had these thoughts minutes before starting this webinar today. So completely normal. The key is to be aware, and the key is to show up, to show you care. Because when you care, you connect. And connections convert. That is the path. And on to the last myth, I don't have enough time. So if you're limited on time, and aren't we all, then you cannot afford to not build your brand online. It's the most efficient, effective way to reach and resonate with like-minded, like-hearted people, right? Building your personal brand is the most effective form of scaling yourself. So it's the ultimate time hack. It allows you to be in more than one place at a time. There are no geographic barriers, and you're only bound by the speed of technology. So let's talk about time for a second. Time is a big deal, right? I want you to work smarter, not harder. And trust me and learn from my mistakes. So I have been through some huge burnouts in my life, the kind where I feel lucky to even be here right now. So years ago, I came to this point where I was staring at the departure board at JFK Airport. I had been on 210 flights in that year, averaging 4 hours of sleep a night. And I'd forgotten where I was standing. I forgot where I was going. And I finally figured it out. Well, then I walk over to fuel up, get some coffee at Starbucks, right? Get my coffee, go to sign the receipt. And I had forgotten my own name. I could not remember my own name. It was one of the scariest, worst moments of my life. And I get goosebumps thinking about it right now. But from the outside looking in, my world looks so successful, very successful by all standards, right? On the inside, I was emotionally and physically bankrupt. I was done. My relationships were on the rocks. My health was on the rocks big time. And I was massively out of alignment. So that is why I am so big on alignment that generates impact and income. So I don't want you to do what I did. And it doesn't have to be that way, right? I don't want you to get to that burnout. And if you are now, I'm so glad you're here right now. So I had a purpose problem. I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. I was chasing carrots that were external, right? I was losing my passion, and I knew there had to be another way, and there is. When you can align your purpose, your passion, and your skills, life just looks and feels so much different. So if you're saying to me, okay, Okay, Amy Jo, I'm bought in. I get it. I get the myths. Let's do this. I'm ready to build my personal brand online. How? What's the very first step? Before we head to step number 2, I have a question for you. And that is, what do you do? When someone asks you, what do you do? What do you say? What's your answer? So don't overthink it. Just quickly answer the first thing that comes to mind in the chat box. So what do you do? And answer, exactly what you typically would say. And I'm going to check back in a second here because I know we have about a 20-second delay, and I'm going to read your chats. So if you are answering the what do you do question from a place of what versus a place of who and why, you're leaving money on the table. Okay, so when you share who you are and why you do what you do, you build real connections. So these are connections at a much deeper level than the what. The what will come through. Don't worry. It always does. And don't worry about that. But focus on that who and the why, because that's what's usually missing. And let me see here. I'm a journalist. I'm a veterinarian, a web developer, baking content creator. I love it. Graphic designer, stylist, work in sports. Yep, that was me. I work in sports. I'm with you, Samantha. I said the same thing. Health and wellness coach, a virtual assistant. We have all types of industries here. Another journalist, sales. I'm in sales. Yes. Okay, so I get it. We're answering from that why level. I'm a mentor and I teach. Okay. So I'm a designer and I love designing logos. I see you, Dan. Sabrina, yes. Okay. So that's literal, and that's what I asked you to do. So thank you for answering that way. The trick is to communicate who you are and why you do what you do. Otherwise, you're leaving money on the table. You're leaving connections that turn into conversions over and over, right? So that's the game changer. So the who and the why are all about building emotional connections at a level from an attitudinal standpoint, like an emotional level, not a stereotypical level. So we're not just talking demographics here. We actually are talking about an attitudinal, emotional level, and you're connecting with like-hearted, like-minded people at a much different scene. So sharing the what might, maybe someday turn into a one-and-done transactional conversion if you're lucky. But that churn becomes exhausting, and you don't want that, right? We want sustainability. So that's what we're going for. Now, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So the goal is not to connect with people who want what you have. The goal is to connect with people who believe what you believe. Now, this is not my opinion. This has been powerfully proven by my friend, Simon Sinek, who personally helped me find my why. Thank God. It's crucial for you to cross this bridge from what to who and why. So there's a big financial difference for people who do versus people who do not. And this is not just about money. This is about making a much bigger difference in the ability to make your impact overall. So let me give you a couple of examples of before and afters from my Renegade students. Here we have Suzanne Baxter. So she used to say, I'm a muralist, but now she says, I brighten people's lives one piece or wall at a time. If you heard her say the latter, wouldn't you lean in and be curious and want to know more? And a quick thing about Suzanne, so she started sharing from a place of who and why and her passion and her purpose as a muralist. Well, as her day job, she's the associate creative director for Old Navy. And when Old Navy saw this, her kind of moonlighting her dream job, they asked her if they could highlight her and be in an ad. So she's bridged her day job with her dream job into one, and she has ads now with both Old Navy and Gap highlighting her work, and she's in them. It's just so awesome. Okay, Renegade student Elaine Morrison. Oh, I just love her. She went from answering, I'm the founder of a collagen product, to I help women feed their beauty from within. Now, Elaine suffered from an autoimmune disease, and collagen massively impacted her health for the better. So if you heard her say that, don't you think there's a difference between those two answers? And it doesn't matter whether she's sharing this in person, in text on a social media post, or on her about page on her website. You viscerally feel the difference between the two. There's an emotional connection. Now, let me share my own example here for just a second. So before I really understood my why I do what I do, and I used to answer the question of what do you do from a place of I'm an entrepreneur, an author, a speaker, a podcaster, an online educator, which was kind of annoying in a way because I'm just rattling things off and nobody really understood what was behind that, right? So what I really do and why it reflects why I do it is more like this. So now I say, I guide renegades down the Black Diamond Mountains in life and business. So can you imagine the difference in conversation where one would lead versus the other? Massive difference. And I've seen it tangibly in my business. So let me give you one more example. This is Renegade Jules. So Jules Weber is a life coach. In 1 year, she had a baby, moved cities, and that's when she became a student. Then she got divorced and she started a company, actually. The company generated 6 figures in 1 year. In 1 year. And why this is just pretty incredible is that after getting divorced, Jules was sitting on her couch and her world was upside down. And she decided to double down on herself. She decided to go all in and share from the place of who. Who is she? She started sharing that more and why she's doing what she's doing. Here's the thing. Jules has never been a financial provider for her family before. And this just gives me goosebumps because this was huge for her to prove to herself that she could do it. So her very first goal was just to be able to pay the bills for the next month. And she far exceeded her own expectations. I'm going to give her a round of applause. All right, so on to stop number 3. We're going to identify your unique value. So this is where the money is. You're going to create a successful personal brand strategy that revolves around equal value exchange. So the golden rule of social media is to deliver value when, where, and how your audience wants to receive it. So this isn't about your audience coming to you. It's about you going to them. And you're going to deliver value each time you do. So you're pushing your potential client or customer or stakeholder up the loyalty ladder one step at a time. So I'm kind of skipping ahead here and we'll get to the loyalty ladder on the next stop. But you might be asking yourself right now, so what's my value? Because you're on it. And that's a great question to ask. Let me help you in starting the process to identify your value and the process I've been using for years with every single person I work with, regardless of their situation, okay? So first, you're going to identify what I call your value balance buckets. So value comes in many different forms. Let's look at a few just to get your wheels turning here. Education is a form of value. There's endless value in teaching someone something because they will be able to apply that for the rest of their lives. Entertainment, inspiration, exclusive content is valuable. So for example, sharing something that nobody else can share. It could be a case study. Your point of view is exclusive, right? A formula, breaking news, something only you have access to. So information is a form of value. Edutainment, which is entertainment and education packaged up into one. And it's a powerful form. It's like a 1-2 punch, right? And finally, possibly the most valuable form of value is reciprocation. It doesn't take much, but believe me, you know this. Showing people that you see and hear them, that's invaluable. So next, you're going to start putting types of content into these buckets too. So here's the trick. We want to keep your value buckets balanced, your value offering balanced. Imagine it's like a teeter-totter. So you want to keep it even with both your type of value, information, education, reciprocation, and the type of content you're sharing. Here's why. We're all human. There are many facets to us. So yes, our careers and our professional worlds are one, but there are so many ways to connect with people at a human level. In order to reach and resonate with as many like-minded, like-hearted people, you want to diversify your value. And this doesn't mean you have to share everything. Absolutely not. You do not have to show up and be 100% vulnerable all the time and sharing things about your kids or even showing your kids if you don't want to. That is not what I'm saying. 100% not true. What I am saying is you do have to be human and show up and share various aspects of who you are, right? So let me tell you a quick story about DJ. So Dwayne Johnson, who is now the most followed American man in the world with over 300 million followers combined and 200 million on Instagram. It's kind of crazy. But when he hired me to help him launch and build his presence online, we looked at all of his fan bases and his projects, and they are diverse. So he had his wrestling fans in WWE. He had his kids' movies, his Disney movies, right? His action movies, people who wanted to learn about his workouts, so they're just inspired by him. So that's very diverse. If he shared the what, he'd isolate a ton of people, right? So from the get-go, he transcended the what and led with the who and why. And it's worked out pretty well for him. If you look at his content, he might show you a picture of something that's going on at that what, but I will tell you that caption is going to give you insight on who he is and why he does what he does. So let me guess, you might be thinking, Amy Jo, that's a great story and all, but I'm not Dwayne Johnson. I'm not a celebrity. I hear you. So when it comes to social media, he started from scratch. And one of the things I love about this story is that DJ didn't even want to embrace social to begin with. He told me he's a private man, that he's just like, well, that tells you, right? That was a bit of a limiting belief. He's just like everyone else. Can you imagine if he let those limiting beliefs win? His career trajectory would look very, very different. And everything I'm sharing here today, yes, was applied to him, but it's applied to a lot more individuals like you and I. So yeah, I've worked with some big names, but I've worked with even more everyday entrepreneurs, leaders like myself, who have put themselves on the map and they're making an impact and making money. So that is where my heart is. It's in helping you. Now, many of you have asked in your emails to me, all of those emails, what do you do when you have different things going on? When you have many interests, many facets to your career? Maybe you even have more than one company. So let's look at Renegade student Danica Brescia. She has 3 different companies in 3 different verticals. She's a professional model. She's the co-founder of a meal delivery service, which generates well into 7 figures. And she has an online platform that revolves around self-care. So Danica has built one of the most loyal communities on social media that I've ever seen. And it's because she does exactly what we're talking about here today. So I encourage you to follow her and see how she diversifies her content and her value, and you're able to connect with her. And believe me, she is able to leverage that personal brand and drive business to her meal delivery service, to get more modeling jobs, to her self-care society, by the way, which is amazing. You should check it out. So it's kind of like Peloton, but for self-care. Oh, love it. Okay, so on to stop number 4. We're going to push your audience up the loyalty ladder and push them towards conversion, right? We're going to date leads. So you have laid your foundation and you get the fundamentals when you apply these steps, right? So this is step 4. And now you're one step away from conversion. So this is where so many people fall off the map and they get lost. They start to make connections and then they fall short when it comes to turning them into conversion. So remember, we're not focused on Followers here, we're focused on dollars. We're focused on impact. We're focused on that desired goal behavior that you want people to do, to take. When we do this right, we do create connections that continue to convert over and over, time and time again, not one-off transactions. So just like any relationship in life, these connections need to be nurtured. So you're going to build trust. And let me introduce you to the loyalty ladder. So you will create your own version of this. And the idea is that you will bump your audience and your potential clients up the ladder one at a time, one step at a time. And have you ever heard the term sales funnel or marketing funnel? Now, I know we have a lot of marketing professionals in here too. So yes, you get that term. Now, this is kind of like that, but it's simplified because funnels can easily get very complex and complicated and even intimidating. So we're dealing with humans here, right? Human behavior through social. So there is one route, or there is not one route to conversion for everyone that will look the same. The exact path is going to look different for everyone because everyone's economic model is different. And what I mean by economic model is just simply how you make money. So it's going to be different for everyone, but you're going to build trust one interaction at a time, and that's by offering value. Now, one of the most effective ways to turn connections into conversions and to turn followers into dollars is to date them. So think of this process as like dating. So there's a sequence of events, there's steps involved. You have to pace yourself or you'll come on too strong. You have to flirt a little bit. You have to show you care, show you're listening. Huge. Now, one of the first steps in dating is to make contact, right? To make sure they know you exist, you have to put yourself on the map. So first, we want to do this above ground in a nonchalant, kind of natural environment, like let's say in a comment. Then we want to advance into a more intimate one-on-one setting. So you know that phase where in dating, you're wanting to try and get someone's digits to get their phone number. That's a big step. So you're taking the relationship and conversion up the loyalty ladder. One way to do this is through underground, through a direct message. Another is to get their email. If you're able to get your prospect's email by offering them something of value, you're so much more likely to convert them. And remember, you're doing this through the lens of equal value exchange. There are no gimmicks. Those don't lead to consistent conversion over time. This is equal value exchange. So let me share another example. This is Lauren. So Renegade Lauren, she is a real estate agent and she is in the Chicago area. She has turned several direct messages from Instagram into multi-million-dollar deals. Now, how did she do this? She's done this by sharing value over and over on a consistent basis and building that rapport over time with potential clients. And this is the twist, right? Lauren loves interior design. So in effort to keep her value diversified, she shares her passion for design and decor when she stages her homes that she's selling. Now, she even does this for her own home too, because it's such a passion. And let me tell you, she's so good at it. She's had people she doesn't know follow her just for this reason. So they'll save or they'll screenshot the things they like that she shares design-wise. And then when they're looking to buy a house or sell a house, guess who's top of mind? It's Lauren. So just the other day, she got a DM from someone she didn't know, but who had been following her silently for a long time. And it turned into a big, big transaction. So she didn't even know that this person was climbing her loyalty ladder because they were doing it silently. And then they showed up and they just converted. And that's what consistency will get you. She's done this multiple times. This wasn't just an anomaly. She has a strategy, right? We've built that together for her. And there are days, where Lauren just questions the ROI of spending time on social media? Absolutely, because We're human and it's one more thing to do. But then she looks at the actual ROI in terms of her goals and her revenue, and absolutely she realizes it's worth the time, right? Her consistency has compounded over time. Now, remember how we talked about scaling yourself? Lauren is a great example of that. I mean, take a look at her presence and you'll see the diversified value. It's not just design. You'll see it all. So, okay, last stop. This is the make or break stop. We're going to master the mindset that builds true connections that convert. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. But you know what? After witnessing thousands of students apply my system, there's one thing that makes or breaks them. And the one thing that determines if they're successful or not is their mindset. So once you have the exact blueprint, the step-by-step, the tangible, tactical steps, you technically have what you need to build your personal brand online. But that's if you apply the strategy. And that doesn't always happen because this is a head game. This is a massive head game. The biggest hurdles are the ones up here. Now, personal branding means fully showing up to show you care, to make those connections. Most people will never be able to build their personal brand and show up because they're too afraid of what everyone else thinks about them. And just in general, what everyone else thinks, right? They never go from idea to action. They get stuck in that dreaming phase because they're too afraid to take the first step and be seen. So let me give you a couple of my top mindset tips, especially when it comes to building your brand online. Number one, it is so important that you develop a healthy relationship with social. You're in control. Technology and social are not bad or good. Humans decide what we do with them, right? So most people are equally addicted and fatigued at the same time, which is a cocktail for drama. And you don't want to be that. You want to set your boundaries and be very intentional of who you follow. So do not let anything rent space in your head for free. It is valuable real estate. Number two, trust the process. So much of this is nonlinear and progress is not always linear. So keep an open mind and remember with action comes clarity. Now, I'm a spreadsheet gal. I love data. I like black and white results. This is not necessarily that path. This is an art and science. So we do have to trust the process and take that very first step. I've seen this happen over and over and over again. Number three, focus on integration versus separation. Do not separate your personal and professional worlds or your personal and professional social media accounts. Okay, so no, you can't have two accounts, one for each. I get this question all the time. I got it from a lot of you who emailed me. It's 2020. We live in a world of work-life integration versus separation. And to make a human connection, you have to show up as you. You cannot compartmentalize. Now, number four, remember, you're not the hero. You're the guide. Your audience is the hero. So you're the Obi-Wan Kenobi to the Luke Skywalker. I'm not even a big Star Wars fan, but that makes sense, right? So this is about them. So share from a place of service versus look at me, right? Don't let that ego be the look at me. So many people tell me that they're uncomfortable promoting themselves, but you're not promoting yourself. You're sharing your voice and you're sharing your value. Those are two different things. Reframe that in your mind and your behavior will follow differently. Okay, number five and lastly, this is one of the best tips that I have for you. Don't give yourself an out. So put a mechanism in place today to hold yourself accountable and get started. So greenlight your efforts. There's a quote by Julius Caesar. He says, if you want to take the island, you burn your boats, right? Don't give yourself an out. How could you burn your boat today? So maybe it's tell a close friend that you're going to do this. Maybe it's to get an accountability buddy or even text someone right now and say, I'm going to do XYZ. And then you're your feet are held to the fire, right? They will hold you accountable. So that's one of the most important things, because we have these moments of bravery and we have to take action on them. That window might close. So building your personal brand online is something that you will take with you forever, whatever you do, like wherever you go. If you change career paths, I have many times, you have your audience that's already built in with you, that's connected with you, not what you were doing, right? So you're building equity that you will have for a lifetime.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the show. Hit me up on social media to let me know what you think. I'm at Amy Jo Martin on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And I want to hear your Why Not Now moments so I can share them on the show. Just send me a note to whynotnow@amyjomartin.com. For show notes and other offers, you can visit amyjomartin.com/whynotnow. And while you're there, don't forget to sign up for my email newsletter for exclusive content and announcements. A big thanks to Rock Salt Music for all of the tunes by the talented John Coggins. And of course, a hat tip to Richard Brewer for editing and producing the show. I'll see you next time. And until then, why not now?